All right. I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us and watching this live stream of a pre-premiere commentary that we're going to have with a couple individuals regarding our upcoming feat of film and documentary film, Farming on the Brink, that Safe Family Farming is excited that it will be coming out tomorrow. So we are looking forward to being able to share this with the public. It will be on various social media platforms, and we will be putting it out tomorrow on YouTube as well. It will be available for any and all to watch. Really appreciate the efforts that have gone into that. But we do encourage you. You can visit the film's website there. You can check that out to view the trailer. We're going to show some of the trailer here in a moment, but really want to encourage that. It will be going live later on. But I do want to, as we dive in as well, I want to thank our sponsor for these webinars. A big thank you, as always, to the Kennewick Irrigation District for their support. It is very appreciated as it helps make these webinars and conversations possible. And so a big shout out to Kennewick Irrigation District for their partnership and their support for this. Now, I will say, I do want to kind of take just a few brief moments as we are live today. It is December 11th. This past week, in Washington, in particular on the western side of the state, we have seen just a overwhelming amount of rainfall and flooding that has come across in particular, like I said, the western side of the state. And this is something we want to, acknowledge, but we have an opportunity real quickly to get an update and just talk about, as we talk about this upcoming documentary film, the title of it being Farming on the Brink, and the various issues and challenges that can drive farms and agriculture to the brink of, be it disaster, even the brink of extinction. And that could be political, it could be economic, it could be costs and regulations. It can also be natural disasters or just nature that can kind of turn sideways in really an instant. And we see that this past week as the western side of the state has really just been overwhelmed with water. And wanted to bring on the Safe Family Farming, our Director of Communications, Dylan Hankoop. And Dylan, you've had some conversations and been hearing about some of the updates that have been faced, in particular, kind of the northwest region of the state. Wanted to bring you on just real quickly to kind of share what you're hearing, some of the conversations that you've heard, and really some of the experiences that farmers have been having in that neck of the woods. So give us an update, if you would.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. And this is a very serious and unfolding situation right now, certainly here in the northwest corner of the state in Whatcom and Skagit counties, feeling it very acutely, as well as Snohomish County. And I know farther south in western Washington also impacts right now in eastern Washington from this series of atmospheric rivers that unleashed a lot of water on our entire region, of course, causing localized flooding initially, but now the impacts being this river flooding, primarily from all of the precipitation that fell in the Cascades, and that's now running down, causing havoc in certain areas. And it's particularly acutely felt by farming, because you find farming in those flood areas. There's a reason those areas aren't developed with homes and businesses and city, and that's a great feature of having farmland, that's an area, a space that can absorb some of these floodwaters in these kinds of events. But at the same time, it's very difficult for farms. We know a lot of farms right now are working around the clock to protect their animals, to keep them safe, to keep their families safe, to keep their buildings safe. And particularly animal farming and dairy farming here in Washington state, which is a very big thing. They have to keep milking those cows. They have to keep producing the milk that we all need, and keep those cows happy, even in the midst of the storm and the flood that is unfolding. So we're hearing quite a few things right now. We're checking on a lot of farms to see how folks are doing. We know there's some sharing of resources going on. Washington State Department of Agriculture has been helping the Washington State Dairy Federation. We know we have heard from, and plenty of other organizations representing other sectors of farming in Washington State, and particularly in Western Washington. But Ben, probably one of the most troubling things that we've just been hearing about in the the last couple of hours is a situation happening in Whatcom County, where I'm broadcasting from this afternoon, where a major feed plant, the EPL feed mill in Sumas, Washington, to our initial reports, and none of these details are really confirmed, but we do understand on pretty good authority that that plant now has been inundated for the second time in 4 or 5 years with floodwaters, and that's caused a shutdown of the plant. We understand plant staff were being evacuated from that facility by boat. Why is this so important? There are hundreds, more likely thousands of farms across Washington state, particularly in western Washington, all the way down into Oregon, up into BC as well at times, that rely on this plant to produce the food that their animals need. And oftentimes each individual farm will have a custom mix of the nutrition their animals need that this plant produces. So where those animals will be getting food from, that's certainly something that's being discussed as we speak. Folks across the farming community working together to try to come up with solutions to produce animal feed, to ship animal feed to the farms where it needs to go with this plant currently offline. This happened back in 2001 when we had major flooding here in Whatcom County as well. It took months to get everything back to where it needed to be for that plant to be fully functional. So this is a very early word. Again, not a lot of details confirmed, but we do know that that plant has had to go offline. It's very significant, and the impacts of this will be felt for not even just weeks, but months to come across the region by farms impacted by feed, and what that will mean for their bottom line, the health of their animals, and so many other things. So we're definitely keeping these folks dealing with this in our thoughts and prayers right now, and we're continuing to track the situation. We'll keep that information coming as we get more details about what's happening with this EBL plant, what's happening with farms. I know in Skagit County right now, floodwaters are still rising in the Burlington and Mount Vernon areas, and what that will mean for dairy farms, particularly in that area, is of concern. And we'll keep sharing that information as we get word, Ben.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dylan. I really appreciate that. Again, know that Safe Family Farming, we want to work hard to get information out to you, as well as hopefully be a bit of a resource. So if there are any individuals watching this that are experiencing some disaster on your farm and your operation, and you're not quite positive where to turn to, feel free to reach out to us. There are resources available, and I know through things like the Washington Department of Agriculture in particular has a great deal of resources and services that we can help facilitate and hopefully get you to. So thank you, Dylan. I really appreciate that, and we will continue that conversation moving forward. So I do want to, at this time now, we'll turn it over, and we're going to talk about the upcoming premiere of this film that we have coming out, and we're very excited. Farming on the Brink. We've been working on this film for about the past year and a half. I'm excited. We're going to have joining us a couple individuals. We've got Manuel Imperial, who is the owner of Imperial's Gardens, who is also kind of the focus of this upcoming documentary film, and really shares his story, the story of his family and their work over the last 40 years as they've been working and building their farm operation and serving individuals really throughout the state and throughout the country as they are shipping food all over the place. And then also I'm really pleased to have Eric Zavala, who is the Director of Field Services, coming on. Eric works very closely with on the labor side and interacts with farm workers really throughout the central Washington area, in particular, up and down that region, and has a real strong finger on the conversations and pulse of what's going on with in the minds and in the lives of some of the farm workers that are working and depending on these farms for their livelihood and the families that are impacted by this. So guys, thank you both very much for being a part of this live conversation. We are recording this so that individuals will be able to watch this and hopefully glean from it in the future. But I really wanted to kind of start the conversation with you, Manuel. We have this film coming out tomorrow. You have been a part of this process for really, like I say, the past year and a half or so. We had a crew come out to your farm, visit with you, your family, individuals and employees on the farm. You've seen the kind of early review of it, and you've seen a cut of it. Um, what were your thoughts about the filming over in Wapato? What are your thoughts about kind of having a film that showcases one, your family and your work, but also the struggles that you've been going through? Tell us a little bit about that process. And just a quick FYI, you are muted, so make sure and unmute if you wouldn't mind before you get going. That'd be great. Let's see. Manuel, are you still there? Oh, there. Let's see. If you're still there, if you can hear us, unmute yourself if you would, and kind of let us know a little bit what was the process like for you having a film that kind of showcases the work on your farm and what's been going on over there. Well, we may be having some trouble with the audio here.
And just to jump in here briefly, Ben,
Sure.
I'm getting word from Manuel that he's not able to hear us right
Oh,
now.
no.
He can see us, but he cannot hear us right now. So that's why we're not getting a response right now from Manuel. I'm not sure exactly why, and I'll keep working on this here.
Hey, we'll work on that. Eric, how about you? Are you able to hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, while Dylan is trying to work on getting Manuel up online, let me ask you this. So in the film that we've got, basically, I've got the one stat here in the film. We interview numerous farm workers, and that was a high importance to us as we were putting this film together, not just to hear one side of the owner or the operator and the employer's side, but very much to understand the future and stability of farming in Washington very much impacts farm workers and the employees and their families. One of the things that one individual who we filmed in the film says, I don't think the overtime law that has been impacting labor in particular has been working. And so labor in Washington state has been dicey. He says, I can't work here anymore. Our hours have been cut back. We're in a difficult place. From your work interactions around the state, how is the labor shortage and this increase of labor costs impacting farm workers?
Ben, I think that I saw, I saw that, and I'm glad that finally, actually, workers have been being asked, because, when this law was going to be introduced, and we all knew, I mean, around the industry, that it's not going to work. It's not going to work, and meaning that not from the point of, well, we don't want to pay, and by we I mean the different orchards that I work for, the different orchards that we oversee with Bluebird. We knew it wasn't going to work, because uh, it wasn't feasible. There's so many hours that workers work, and just paying over time, it just was not adding up. And on paper it looked great, but then now, when it did get implemented, and then growers and farm owners were forced to cut down on those hours, and that's when the laborers, the pickers, the thinners, the pruners, they saw that, and initially on paper it looked great. I'm like, hell, I'm gonna get paid overtime. So I mean, that dream house, that car, paying for kids' college, now it became almost a reality, until it wasn't. And the one point that we saw in the film, and I can attest to that, because a lot of growers have multi-generational employees now, and it's not that they don't want to pay them, it's that they can't. They cannot. And then, that's great, overtime and all this, but where is the money coming from? So I see it, and I mean, I got family members that are still pickers, thinners. They do the same, and they can. I mean, we talk, and they say, well, I'm making less money now with this overtime than I ever did before.
Yeah.
So it's obviously it's not working.
No, it's not. Well, Manuel, it looks like maybe we have you back online.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear us? All right, perfect. Well, let me put this back in your court for a minute. So we've been working on this documentary film, like shared with Eric here as well, that the focus being on labor and how labor costs are one of the things that has really been driving farms to the brink. For you, what was it? What was the experience like of having your story? And feel free to share a bit of your story here with us. But what was it like to have your story, the story of your family and your farm, put on into a film and being able to share that with hopefully a large audience? What was that experience like for you?
Dillian and I and the video, the cameraman, it's been working on it, I believe, 2.5 years now or so. It's been a while. And to see it a couple of weeks ago or a week ago when you sent it to me, it was my family and I, we all sat down and watched it.
Mhm.
It's very happy and there's rewarding watching the video that we worked for 40 years. It's amazing. And also there's a sadness part of it because a couple of years ago we almost lost a farm for some reason of the work wages. Everything is so high the last few years, and we went to that situation that when your labors go up so fast that then the price of your products go down on the opposite way, and then you can only recover so much. And the last 3 years has been challenging for my family, but we survive. So far, been good. Um, you know, but my brother and my family, we basically changed a lot of things that we usually do at the farm just to survive.
Yeah.
Labor is
For
a big key.
labor, yes, labor is a key to that. Would you say that labor has become a much bigger challenge or a bigger kind of key element or issue for you over the last several years, or has it, for the most part, has that been consistently a large focus and priority?
Well, I say labor because you also have a farm worker laborers that
Mhm,
usually you don't have enough, first of
mhm,
all. Second of all, when the overtime kick in 2021, I believe, or 2022, those from 17 to 18, $19, then you become a 20, $22 an
mhm,
hour. You're looking at a payroll of you become from 45% if your income is goes to payroll to become a 65% income to labor.
mhm,
So your margin it's hard. So what we did on 2024 when we in a receivership, we cut down everything.
yeah,
The more intense crop we didn't grow. We cut down the workers to 10 hours a week, 10 hours a day
mhm,
instead of 12 hours
yeah,
a day.
right,
Um, 2024, we reduced our payroll almost 1.5 million because of that overtime.
mhm,
And we cut down a lot of our produce, that we can only pick 10 hours a day, and we just extended it. And it shows our gross income on 2024, it dropped almost at $2 million. So
yeah,
it's a pack, but we kind of level it out, just surviving. That's why I call my farm right now, it's surviving. It's
yeah,
right on the edge.
yeah,
And the key also to balance that labor issue and the fundamental of paying them keep going up every year. Like I was telling to my buddies at a coffee shop every morning, we need to get more money back to the farm. It's the key. We need more. The stuff that we grow, we need to get paid more.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
and I don't think that's been addressed a lot.
yeah.
A lot of
Well,
us talking about workers, overtime, sustainability, but to sustain the farm, you gotta have more money to come into the farm.
sure, sure.
Uh,
Well, let me ask this, Eric, if I could get your input on this. So, one, from Manuel's perspective, yes, the farm has been operating on the brink of extinction, really. This last couple years, they're working, yeah, survival, like you said, is the name of the game. From your perspective, how does that instability impact farm workers? As it's not just, the owner of the farm that has to, wrestle with that and lose sleep over that at night. But when a farm is struggling to survive, that's got to have an impact on the farm worker as well.
Well, absolutely, absolutely, Ben. It's just so again, my parents, my uncles, I have a lot of family that are still laborers, and when I first, I was a laborer as well, and when I was there, I my misconception was, well, the farmer's rich. I mean, look at all this land that they have, and look at the fancy tractor, look at the nice pickup. But once I got on the other side, if you will, then it's not. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, and it is so expensive. And now the reality after 2021, that insecurity more than anything, we can see it. I mean, around my place where I live, Central Washington, I was surrounded by orchards, and now those orchards are gone. Now I got buildings and buildings coming in. More and more housing. So that instability of or security of, well, does that orchard that I work for this year, will it be there next year? And and we're seeing that it's probably not going to be there. I mean, just literally couple hundred feet from where I'm doing the speaking right now, there's an orchard being pulled out, and it's 80 acres of cherries that been there since I remember, and now there's a piles and piles of trees being burned. And so those laborers, those pickers, thinners, pruners that depended on that orchard for their Christmas presents, paying their bills, paying their home payments. Now that orchard's not going to be there. So absolutely, this has a negative impact. 100%, 100%.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, just to kind of give a wider view to those that are watching this, the Washington Policy Center reported that between 2017 and 2022, Washington lost roughly 3,717 farms. It's an average of more than 700 farms a year. That loss isn't just like you're sharing. That's not just individual hardships. That's structural, processes and pressures that are working against small family owned operations that are working hard to develop and grow and build and feed their community. The Seattle Times reported that within that same time frame, 2017 to 2022, the total hired farm labor in the state dropped 23%. So over within that time period, 5 years or so, the costs skyrocketed, labor opportunities dropped almost a quarter, almost 25%. And in the film, we hear farm workers, they share their perspective, like I said. And one of the individuals that we interviewed said, we are not earning what we used to. I come here to work. So instead of being at home resting all day, I'd rather be working. Unfortunately, now we're not able to make ends meet, and it's really affected me. And that is one individual who represents a large demographic. And Eric, it ties right into what you were sharing. This is impacting. And now individuals that want to work and are doing this because they enjoy and they want the job. Now they're having to really second guess, can I make ends meet here?
Ben, and that's I'm going to jump in here, and we talked with Dylan before, and I'm so glad that that you're actually asking and loading those videos up of.
Mhm.
So it kind of seems that nobody has asked the worker, like,
Mhm.
how's this really work for you? And
Yes.
and we've seen it, people talk about it, and there's one thing is definitely not working for the farmer, because like Mr. Manuel, mentioned that there's not enough money coming into the farm to support that. It is not sustainable anymore, and yet is on the in paper it seems great. Well, now this laborers, they're getting a fair, quote unquote, a fair wage, and now their dreams are gonna become true. And it's like, well, how has anybody actually asked them? And I'm glad that with this you do done those interviews, and when I was looking at it, I mean, it's heartbreaking, but I was glad that they're actually sharing what the reality that it is not working. It is not working, and then the effect. I mean, we've been going through this. That now with this overtime wage, those people are going to be able to spend more time with their families.
Mhm.
Well, in reality, no. Now a lot of these workers that are only limited to 40 hours, and again, it's not because the farmer does not want to pay them; it's they have no way of doing it.
Right.
So what is the laborer do? Now they have to find a second job. So to just make what they were doing before. So what is that to their family time? It just either cuts it down or totally eliminates it, because now this person, or in some occasions, both mom and dad have to have a second job,
Yeah.
and the kids have to basically raise themselves, and that's a reality that it's either out there that nobody wants to publish, or put it out there, because this 40-hour deal did not work at all.
Right. Right. Well, Manuel, let me ask you this. So we were talking about, your farm really has reached that point of we're just trying to survive, overwhelmed by these economic pressures, that really got so great that you were starting to having to question, can I even continue? Um, Considering that your farm, you've been operating and working on this farm for 40 plus years, um, help us kind of understand what went through your mind with this legacy farm that you've built up. Even in the film, you talk about wanting to turn this farm over to your son and your daughter and your grandkids. You've built this legacy. What went through your mind when you kind of came to the point, I'm not sure we can continue operating?
It's like one of those things somebody hit you with a Mike Tyson punch in your tummy. I mean, I was speechless, and the brink that you work all your life, like myself, since I moved to the United States. It's 40 years. My family and I, we worked so hard. We didn't ask for help. We did everything correctly. We did everything that God willing us to give to the farm and to our workers. When we started it up from 40 acres with one workers to what we have now, about ranges from 300 to 350 workers, over 1 billion pounds of produce. And it's when I got that news with the bank, it was like, wow. And then bank said, and you work it out, right? You work it out, and we tried to, and I was speechless. I can even sleep at night for months, months. And the chances of recovering from receivership to normal, it's like 2%. But the thing that it survives us that a lot of people don't understand is we have the workers. When I break the news, I say 80% of my workers cried, that because we all on there, and then they told me that that's one thing that stick to me, that they're with me, and we kind of work it out, and we went day to day basically. um, all my life been a farmer. Then I never have anyone tell me how to, when I get up and when to work. I always been at the farm at 5 o'clock, go home at 10 o'clock every day the last 40 years. When someone told me that they're gonna close my door and they open it when you get here, that was the most devastating that I went through. I thought we are gonna lose the farm, but I give the credit to my vendors, um, especially Kroger, Walmart. They stick with us. A lot of the workers, they stick with us. They didn't leave us. Um, and God's really behind us. A lot of us as a farmer now, you're depending on the guy above us, because it don't matter what you grow now, from us to hops to apples to cherries to potato, or you name it, unless you have beef. It's something about the farm in America that we need more money coming. Going back to that, we need more money coming back to the farm, because the output, it's not balanced with the input. I am not an accountant or a CPA. I need more money to come in.
Yeah.
One thing that never been discussed to any conference on anything, it's that money coming into the farm. How you be able to pay all these regulations, all these wages. Yes, we all very independent farmers. We all cannot survive. That's why I use the surviving, because hopefully we always hope that it is gonna be better next year. But I don't see the foresee if unless something changes, that more money coming into the farm.
Yeah.
And Eric probably noticed this. He's been around too. That a lot of people think that I'm kind of crazy when I said we need more money to the farm. And how do you do that? Well, we need to teach American people that they need to pay more of their food. Point blank. Government subsidies and all this thing is not going to help the farm. It's not. We need to. I think like I was talking to Dylan. We need to educate the American people that that $2 a bag of potatoes, the 50 cents, 25 cents, 10 cents here for corn, it's not there anymore. 50 cents a watermelon is not there anymore. Because even you want to, you go broke, because the output of tractors, equipment, workers, laborers, you name it, it's not there to pay that. So I don't know how. I'm a small farmers, and I'm advocating with this video that hopefully somewhere, somehow, someone can catch it, that I am right, that we need to ask the American people to pay more for their food. You can go to Starbucks, pay $8, $9, but you don't complain. But when you buy produce, you complain. It don't make sense to me.
You are right,
folks.
And I do agree that the idea that you don't have to be an accountant necessarily to understand if I have more going out than is coming in, it's not sustainable. You don't have to have a master's degree in accounting to understand that that's not sustainable.
Because Ben, that's the economic. I don't matter what you farm now.
Yeah.
There's not much coming in, and you're spending more going out, and it don't matter. The thing I was telling a lot of people is, yeah, you feel sorry for these farmers, but in reality, you don't care, because sooner or later you turn around, you're in a Walmart and Kroger protesting that they're overcharged food. Our president want inflation to go down. Yeah, he's gonna sign $12 billion, but we're gonna go back to broke anyway, because we're telling people to pay this food cheap. Bottom line, cheap.
Well, let me ask this, because this plays right into an upcoming question here. So the Capital Press reported that Washington farms on average spend $144,323 on labor this past year, which is up sharply from what it was before. In the film, John Devaney, who's the executive director of the Washington Tree Fruit Association, he said that in the last decade in Washington, apple production in particular, they've seen labor costs increase by 127%, so over 100% increase, even as the overall economy, labor inflation rates in that same period, they were up about 30%. Kind of to your point, he says that's not sustainable. We can't keep doing that. So Eric, let me ask you this, and then I have a question for both of you. But given that reality, do you feel that the existing labor laws and regulations do they from your perspective, or maybe from the perspective that you're hearing from the farm workers, is there the feel that this strikes some sort of fair balance between protecting the farm workers as well as allowing those small family owned operations to continue? Or kind of help me out maybe from your perspective, if not, what needs to change?
You know, the word protecting the employees, the workers, and to me is protecting them from what? The the work is fair. I say it from experience. I mean, I'm repeating myself, but most of my family, if not all of my family, has work in ag, has work. They've been there in the fields. I've been there, and just the misconception or under education on the general public of what it is to be a picker, a thinner. I'm speaking not from the row crop, but more from the creeper industry. Is workers want to be there, and it's a good job. It's they're treated fair. Again, I'm a lot, if not the majority of farmers, orchardists, they're multi-generational. I mean, my like for example, owner X was working with my grandpa, and then his son was working with my dad, and then with myself. So it is this misconception of they're being treated unfair, and they're slaving out there in the heat with no water, and it's such a. I mean, if we're sitting on our couch sipping on our Starbucks coffee, you know, oh, it's so horrible, but in reality is, are we just going with what a paper headline says, or just take a drive and meet those people and talk to those people and see what it is. And I cannot agree more with Mr. Imperial about how misaccustomed or how badly we have made expectations that a perfect apple, and I mean that with no strings attached. I mean, it has to be perfect but cheap at the same time. So, and if you're paying $1.99 for a perfect apple, and yet if you make prices fair for the workers and for the orchardists, that should be a $4.99 a pound.
Hmm. Yeah.
But as soon as that, I'm not doing that. I'll just wait for other countries' apples or cherries or whatever it is that we're importing, even though we can grow it here.
Mhm.
I'll just pay 1.99.
Yeah.
And again, it's because I am so mentally trained that perfect has to be cheap,
Yeah.
and if not, I won't buy it.
Let me ask this, and this would be a question for both of you. So one of the things that we really tried to show or showcase in this film was, one, both the farm owner, the farmer, the employer's perspective, as well as the employee's perspective. And a lot of times there is this perception, narrative maybe, that is out there, that is being promoted by various groups, that the farm owner and the farm employee or farm worker really are at odds with each other. From your perspective and from what y'all have seen, is that true? Is there basis for that narrative, for that story? What is the reality?
I guess if you don't mind, Mr. Perel, I'll just jump in. That says I to me, what at least what I've seen. I mean, we deal from orchards all the way from Oregon all the way to the Canadian border,
Mhm.
and we deal with multiple growers, also with the labor, the people that are there, and absolutely not, absolutely not, because we're in the same boat, and it's not like, well, if I'm the picker, at least, and I'm speaking with what I'm gonna see is they see what is really happening, and they see this happening in front of their eyes, that this multi-general farm that has been in the family for 3 or 4 generations is probably going to be gone this year or next year, and they see that because a lot, if not the majority of farm workers share the same, they have the same fighting mentality and that eagerness to survive, and we are together on this. There's a symbiotic relationship that if this farm ends, I'm going with it, and it's not your just that side of the boat is gonna sink. We are in the same boat.
Yeah. Yeah. Manuel, how
The way
about you
I look
from
at
your
it,
perspective?
Ben,
Go
is
ahead.
the way I look at it is I need them and they need me. You can't go either one because without the workers, you got no farm. Without the farm, there's no job for them anyway. So when Senator Saldana came to my farm, I told him there's no. It's like a marriage. It's like, or you can look at a house. When you build a house, you gotta have a septic tank, or else they won't give you the license to move in. Because without the workers, you cannot pick your product. Without the farm, they got no job. So I told them, the legislator that came to my farm the last 2 years, why do you only support the farm labor, but you will not support the, the farmer that employ these people? I understand that you too, there's the difference of opinion between the Republican and the Democrat. I look at her, I said, you claim that you've been in a farm before. You grew up in a farm. Without that farmer, your dad didn't have a job. Without that, your dad, there's no farm because they're the one that provide that to harvest this crop. So I believe that between the farmers and the workers, even the vendors, even the retail store, we all on the same boat, kind of. Because if we don't have these people selling them, so they can pay us back, there's not gonna work. You can't blame one another. That's why I've been advocating be fair with the workers, be fair with the farmers, and both of you figure it out where's the middle ground for everybody. You can't give raising up minimum wage or overtime because there's no money coming in. It going back to the coming in money. Because if you have too much money going out, you cannot sustain the farm to be a lot. I mean, to be successful.
Mhm.
Like earlier, Eric said, the perception of American people that all these farmers are rich. It's not. And what is going to be the next 20 years if we cannot keep, nobody's going to make any money? You asked me earlier, my sons and my daughter want to be in it, but there's not enough money to go around. But I believe that we got to sustain the farm and our government need to figure out how can we put it together that both, all of us, be be the what's the words, enjoy it because we gotta have a farm for the future of this country. We gotta have a farm. You cannot just buy Mexico, China, whatever. You gotta have food in America. We do.
Well, this would be a question that I'd be interested to get both of your perspectives on. But what is, so we kind of talked about the idea of this what I think we all came to the conclusion, a false narrative that, the employer is just pitted against the employee, or, that there's some sort of antagonistic relationship, that really genuinely isn't in a general setting. That's not the case.
No,
But
I don't think so.
what is the from your perspective, what is maybe the biggest misconception outside of agriculture, especially, maybe when it comes to individuals who are urban or suburban residents, when it comes to farm labor and the realities that you're facing on the farm, be it as a field staff and helping manage a number of farm operations, or Manuel, as you are running and operating your farm system and setup. What are you feeling and seeing is one of the biggest misconceptions that people
The
outside of the farm have?
the biggest conception of that I noticed on the farm, because 90% of these people never been on a farm, They make comments on YouTube and everything, but they don't really know how it goes. Farming is, especially on my farming situation, when the corn is ready, we gotta pick those in a certain time. There's no waiting. You can't wait when they're ready. Same thing with tomatoes, watermelons, everything the same. A lot of people think that you can wait. You don't. And the perception is they're always gonna be there. And that's why they're always asking for that cheap price. It's like what we're doing now. They always farmers in the United States always gonna be there. But the last say 8, 10 years, the shift changed because it's so expensive to run the farm. That's why you see 700 farm every year go out of business. And it's not just Washington, it's the entire United States. The, Going back to that question, what's the perception? Because they think the farmers we always gonna be here. Nobody respect us the way it should be. We're the life of the country or the world. We are the one that feed the people, but we're the one that make the least. Why is that? Because it's been taught in America that buy cheap food. That's the key, Ben. It's been advertised since you were born and your father that you everything that it's built in the farm is cheap. But you cannot buy a truck, my Ford truck that it's a Gala recall from the last 5 years, from 30,000 to $80,000. Think about that. Or your house that you bought 205 years ago, it become $800,000. But they will complain to pay upon 50 cents more or 10 cents more for a banana or tomatoes or corn. That's the thing that it's really bugging me that I don't sleep at night. How can I change the people of America to pay more for their product, what they eat?
Yeah.
It's only in the industry in the world, in the United States, that farm agriculture is not been known to make money, I guess.
Yeah.
But they feel sorry for us.
Yeah.
That's
No,
the amazing.
that is a very valid point. Eric, how about yourself? From someone who interacts with farm worker community, what is one of the largest maybe misconceptions that the non-farming public might have about farm workers?
And at least what I see in it is that we have all this. I call it anti-social media. It could be really good. If it's used properly, but it could be anybody could just upload a post on TikTok or on Facebook or whatever is being used now. And I don't use any of them, but it's that anybody could just say, well, I just saw this people picking watermelons, and the farmer is probably out there and enjoying a latte, watching them, from his pickup truck, and everybody just believes that that's reality because it came on TikTok, so it must be, and it's just like it's so unfair that we are so fast to judge, and yet, I mean, like Mr. Imperial, he has so many acres that he's farming, and anybody that maybe lives in an apartment says, "Whoa, he has so much land, so he must be rich," and he's being rich based on underpaying all these workers, and that is not the case, and this relationship between farmer and worker is not a I just met you on Monday and now you're my employee on Tuesday. And no, this goes many years back, and it's hurting, and going back again, that it is the memory lapse of anything anymore is so short. It's only seconds. I could see an ad or a post online and feel heartbroken for 20 seconds until something else comes up. Then I totally forget about it. And yet the farmer is dealing with all this every single day. And how am I going to keep those employees employed and how am I going to keep my farm alive? And I can only imagine how hard it is to be the one that has to be closing the doors
Mhm.
on something that has been active for in Mr. Imperial's case for 40 years. And it's always worked, but again is we have to talk the talk, but walk the walk as well. And
Yes.
if I'm as a consumer, maybe I do it because I'm in the industry, but going to Walmart, going to Costco, look where that fruit is coming from. Look where that produce is coming from. And not nothing against other countries. They grow great product, but we are in the States. We are the United States, and we need to protect the American farmer.
Yeah.
Literally is the cornerstone of America. And
Mhm.
and and it's in their DNA, Ben and Mr. Imperial. It's in their DNA because who else continues a business where the profit margin is so low with only with the hope of it'll be better next year.
Yeah.
But if we as the consumer, and I am a consumer, do not take that into consideration, there might not be a next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ben,
Along.
second to the question, I would love to get all American or the city people to come and try to work at the farm for, I'll say, 2 weeks, and everyone changed their mind.
Yes. Yeah.
It
No, that,
is,
that definitely plays into it.
I mean, it's impossible when they come to the warehouse or the fruit stand to buy their stuff, and they said all the local that come here, they really respected us.
Mhm.
We do work hard.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't know that. And that's the missing point too, that a lot of these people live in the cities. They don't see it.
Mhm.
It should be if you guys that's why this show is so good because we can reach a lot of people. Not
Mhm.
only Washington, but it'll reach freaking Timbuktu, I call. And also people that make you'll see a lot of comments. I've been reading a lot of comments and comments, comment, and I maybe you can put it there. I can house them for a week. If they lasted a week, they can own my farm because it's so different. It's so hard. Nobody wanna go pick corn at 100 degrees. No one. For minimum.
Mhm.
That is the thing that why I respect my workers, what they do. I respect the people that sell to my wholesalers, my vendors. I respect all that because the chain's going to all the way to the bottom line of the farm.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe what you guys doing are perfectly it's viable to the industry. You guys are the one that's gonna maybe break or make
Mhm.
because you guys are start preaching it out because nobody wanna talk about it.
Yeah.
We talk labors, we talk this, and you mentioned we need, and I mentioned I need more money coming to the farm. No,
Mhm.
a lot of people don't like to talk about money.
Mhm.
None. That's the biggest drawback on the industry. Nobody wanna talk about it.
Yeah.
It's money.
So let me kind of along just kind of piggyback that question, and as we kind of slowly wrap up, for you, you've mentioned over and over that survival is kind of the name of the game, or has been for the last couple of years for you. Looking ahead 5-10 years, what does stability look like for you? What would have to happen, policy wise, maybe public opinion shift for you? You've mentioned changing people's perception of the cost that is associated with production of food, and just getting it more established that that's part of the reality. But is there anything in particular that individuals that are watching this film and
Come,
be able to watch it tomorrow, that you say, hey, I would love for them to go away with fill in the blank, as this is the message that you want them to understand and walk away from
can you
this
hear
film?
me?
I can, yeah.
Hello?
Oh, we can hear you.
Ben, I didn't hear the last question, but the stability to go forward for generation, from my perspective, is we need to be more smarter than what we do at the farm. We adjusting what the consumer wants. we adjusting what's the retail wants and what makes sense to us and the workers. Um, a lot of used to be we plant a lot of stuff that just to have. Now we're more precise too.
Mhm.
X amount of product, that's the only thing because the limited of 8 to 10 hours a day working. The biggest issue too is my neighbor Idaho, they only pay $8, $9 an hour or $10 an hour. Their minimum wage is almost half than us. And as you know, Idaho is almost as big as us. Those are the things that we need to adjust. Very consistent. My family and the workers and I, we very consistent. My people that I deal with vendors and the retail. I gotta put my head on Kroger and Walmart. They're really sticking their head for to support us. A lot of people don't know this. They could go to Mexico and all year long they can buy corn half I can sell them for. But they do support local through and through. And I think that's the biggest one of the biggest misconception too, that the retail store don't support local, but they do at the point that they gotta make money too. Those are the biggest concern for me. Uh, as long as they support us, I think we survive.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Eric, I'd love to draw you in on this one from your perspective. Individuals that watch this film, like I said, they'll be able to watch it tomorrow morning. What is a message or maybe a call to action that you would like to see viewers, the audience that watches this, kind of walk away with?
I would say, Ben, more than anything is let's educate ourselves. Let's educate ourselves on what is it, what is it that truly is to be a farmer? What is truly to be, what does it really take to get that apple, that potato, or whatever, and into that store, and educate yourselves and all the inputs that I know that some stores are doing it. They put a QR label on the box of produce, and you can scan it, and it tells you maybe a little bit of where it comes from. Use those, scan those, learn from who actually grew that piece of produce, who picked it, and how did it get there. But maybe, I don't know, I'm just maybe pushing it here a little bit, but maybe put a how much it really costs to produce that apple or that bundle of carrots. Scan that. It's like make it a fun trivia. You're paying $1.99 a pound when it costs the grower $1.45 a pound to grow, and to get it picked and to get it to you, and you see what's left over for the grower. And another misconception that I see is, again, all the inputs. Spraying, all the fertilizing, all the fuel, everything that it takes for that piece of food to get grown and to get delivered, where we can just go and drive to any store and it's there because we expect it to be there. And I think that's the thing that we as Americans, and I mean, was not born in the country, but I consider I'm American, and is we are so into that mentality that we expect things to be there. We spoke about the flooding happening, but it doesn't. My attention gap is gonna be so limited because I can just go to Safeway, and I expect everything to be there because that's what I was taught to grow up with. And Mr. Imperial mentioned before is, but what if one day we reach that everything and anything we buy produce wise comes from either Mexico, China, Chile, whatever, and are we gonna even take the time to appreciate that?
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I know I would because I work with farmers, and I think we lack. If we would use social media for positive and start educating growers, and like Mr. Imperial say, come over and spend a week. One term that gets used a lot is um, unskilled labor, and I picked many things, and it takes a lot of skill, especially if you want to make a buck and survive. So it's not unskilled by any means. So my message would be take time to educate yourself,
Mhm.
look around for farmers around, and see if you could buy produce grown locally versus being exported thousands of miles just to
Mhm.
get it cheap.
No. Well, let me ask this just to kind of, or maybe our last, this will be our last question, but to kind of punt, if you have 30 seconds, what would you like to leave, this conversation? Individuals that are watching us, we have several that are watching us online, individuals that will be watching us in the future as this is going to be shared again. Um, Anything that you would like them to know or kind of walk away with from your perspective, Manuel, as a farm owner and operator, someone who is an employer, as well as Eric, from your perspective, working with and working around farm workers and the employee side. Um, 30 seconds. What is your the takeaway that you'd like to leave them with? Manuel, you first.
I would like to see that American people support American farmers, meaning buy their food at the grocery store. It's not complaining how much it is, because it costs money to grow those produce. To keep American farmers for the long run, that's what it takes. You gotta pay your dues. And we do, as American growers, we are the best growers in the world. We take care of our land, and as a future of anything, you believe in the Bible or anything, you gotta have food. You gotta be self-sufficient to support your people. There's less than a million farmers left, and there's about 350 million of us just in United States. You know, and I hope people watching, when you go to a grocery store, don't complain, just pay for it, because that is the key. It's like go to Starbucks or go to Kentucky. You don't ask them to lower their price when it's $6.99, it's $6.99. And that's the thing that it hurt me, and I don't slip over it. But people think that farmers make a lot of money, and it should be, the question is, we need to train the younger generation to become a future farmers, because that's keep us going to save this country as always a power country. You got no food, you can't survive.
Right. No, you're right.
That's my
Yeah.
take. I hope people listening, and I'm always welcome to challenge the conversation.
Yes. No, I'm glad. Eric, how about yourself? Kind of a last word from you. What would you like the viewer to walk away with?
You pretty much just again, don't get deviated into misinformation or disinformation. Actually seek that information, learn what it really takes to grow a pound of whatever, whether it be beef, produce, fruit, and see what all those inputs go, and then and just learn that in reality, labor, all these people that are doing labor, they go to work because they like that job, and all these regulations and whatnot, they seem good on paper, but in reality, especially this 40-hour overtime, it didn't work. And it's fair to accept it, and say, what, we tried, it didn't work out, maybe we should backtrack. I mean, we have asked, we about maybe doing a time frame during the harvest times, that we should eliminate that 40-hour or limitation to get our crops picked. I mean, Mr. Imperial mentioned about the crop is not going to wait for you. We need to get it off, and when you're having to pay overtime, well, there goes the margin. I mean, there goes the earnings that the farm was counting on. So just I would just tell the viewer, do your homework, uh, learn your truth of what it is, and then just don't go with a post that somebody posts on Facebook and take that and cash it in as a truth. Just invest and learning the truth and see what it takes to and how difficult it is, and having to work 7 days a week, 5 to 10 every day is not easy, and is not honest skilled labor. It's a passion, but unfortunately, people cannot survive on hope.
Yeah. Wow. With that, I appreciate you both. That is very wise, a wise message. And I encourage individuals like myself who are, yes, I would fall in the consumer category. We need to educate ourselves. We need to be more aware of what goes into agriculture to produce that food. And so, Manuel, Eric, both of you, thank you for giving us some time to talk, to share honestly with us. I do want to again encourage individuals to check out this film that will be coming out tomorrow, Farming on the Brink. It's our second Safe Family Farming production, our documentary film that will be online, available for the public tomorrow morning, December 12th. I can't encourage it enough. Watch the film, but not just watch it and absorb it, but share it, comment, make others aware of it. You can use this QR code to visit the website that is devoted specifically to that film. You'll be able to see it on Safe Family Farming's website, which I can point you there, safefamilyfarming.org. There we'll have our video up, as well as we have weekly content that we post, a weekly farming show podcast that we put out, as well as articles, press releases, various comments, blogs, other video content that we're putting out every week. And if you have any questions or want to reach out to us at Safe Family Farming in any way, please use our email address, info@safefamilyfarming.org. We welcome comments. We would welcome feedback. And again, I want to encourage you to check out this video that will be coming out tomorrow morning, December 12th. Watch it, share it, and comment. Let's let individuals know and educate the public. Again, Eric, Manuel, thank you both. Really appreciate your time. And with that, we will give you the rest of your afternoon. Thank you all for watching with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.